Hello, hello, hello. So excited to be here. It is that time again. It is time for book club. So, as per usual, just need to get something going from a tech perspective and then we will get started. Now, let's see. Share. I hope everyone is having a good Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. How fun. Uh, it's a wonderful day, but it's a day just to kind of really appreciate where we came from as African Americans in this country, just a lot. So without further ado, let's jump right in because I know y'all are excited, just like me. So in honor of Juneteenth, what I've done with the book club is I think this will be maybe the second year, yeah, I think now, where I like to choose an African American author or content creator for the month of June because of Juneteenth. And so this month I'm really excited because I deeply loved Maya Angelou. I really admired who she was, and I think she's incredible. So for me, this month is going to be special because reading her poems just it gives me life and it makes me feel more connected to her and her life form and her life force. And I'm sorry that I never got to meet her before she transitioned, but at the end of the day, we have her work and we have her brilliance in this world, and we can keep acknowledging and keeping her spirit alive and her work alive and teach the younger generation just so they always remember just how beautiful and how special she really was. So with that, let's go into first thing. So I also started recently, I guess maybe the past couple, maybe 3 or 4 book clubs now, maybe at this point, maybe a little bit longer. We start with a quote just because there's so much knowledge in the world and we need to be able to learn from it, to appreciate it, to share it. So this quote comes to us from Maya Angelou herself. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. This speaks volume to me because I personally would say that I've lived a life where a lot of wonderful things have happened, but definitely have had conflict, right? Personally, professionally, all of that good jazz. I think most people could attest to that as well. And with that conflict, what's important is to remember that yeah, we'll go through it. We'll be challenged by folks. We'll be challenged by people who refuse to value the same things that we value, to not be as intrusive and as challenging as they like to be. And we've got to be steadfast in what's important to us and how we want to orient in this world. And this quote to me speaks to the fact that you're going to go through things. It's going to happen whether you want it or not. It just is going to happen, and we're gonna learn from it. We're gonna be challenged by it, but we're not gonna fumble, or we're not gonna be reduced to by these circumstances or these challenges or these people. So just keep that in mind. All right. So for today, meet and greet, a little bit more. Every book club, you learn a little bit more about me and my perspective, and I try to anchor it in kind of the concepts or the what we're talking about for that month. And then we'll do a quick book summary, which is, what did Amazon say? Because whatever I can talk about Amazon, that's always just really fun. And then we'll dive into the book itself. That's like the meats and potato of these book club meetings. And then next steps. All right. So meet and greet. First question out of the gate, and please, I find these questions for us to talk about. So I'm going to share my answers because I happen to be chatting. But if you are watching either in the live or the replay, I ask for you, if you want to know what I want you to do, I would love for you to give me your responses, give me your thoughts. First question: how do you interpret and analyze a poem? So for me, my approach has always been through the totality of it. I think it's too dangerous to take it line by line or word by word because you don't know where the story is going. And so it's really important to first just get through the entire piece itself. And then upon that, sometimes I read it over, especially if it's short, just to make sure I've really captured the essence of what I've read. And then piece it apart. right? That's when you can then dive in and say, oh, this is what I think from this. This is because otherwise, if you go line by line, I find that you can sometimes misinterpret things or interpret it in a way where you are not necessarily seeing the truth for what it should be. All right. So that's something to think about. How did you become interested in poetry? I think I was just exposed to it as a child. I remember about reading Maya Angelou's work from when I was young, like 6, 7, 8, like that, like young, and really just being like, why does the cage bird sing, right? Like really being totally amazed and in awe really of her story of what her traumas and her experiences were. And then from there just wanting more. And I really liked Edgar Allan Poe just because I find myself as a generally upbeat, positive person, but there are moments of darkness and shadows that linger, and I really vibed with Edgar Allan's poetry, and I loved his just like his stern presentation, and just I just yeah I dug it for sure. Okay, so next would be, who's your favorite poet and why? I mean, we're reading Maya Angelou, so you might guess her. Yes, you guessed correctly. I don't know if I could love a poet more than her. I think Edgar Allan Poe, like I said, is vastly different from her. But sorry, allergies. Oof. And I still think she tops it for me though. But I'm curious, who's your favorite poet and why? And my why for her is for me, I've always really enjoyed opportunity to live many lives within a life. And I think that she was the first example of that to me. And it gave me permission to say, well, I am a poet. I am a writer. I am a musician. I play the flute. I am a content creator. I am a blogger, a podcaster. I've had various different roles in my career, right? Like, so by seeing her live a life that was so diverse and so filled with so many different wonderful attributes to it, it gave me permission to live that same life in my interpretation of what that was going to be. So I really appreciated learning that from her and then being able to live that truth for myself. How do you express your emotions through poetry? Ooh. So I journal. I've been struggling to keep up with my daily journaling, which has helped to create mental health issues because journaling, I think, is grounding for me. And so whenever I don't do it, because if I get too tired or just kind of too stressed out or whatnot, I find that you keep things bottled up. But for me, my journaling is poetry. And I enjoy my poetry because I'm very literal in my poetry, and I very much can write like how my day is going or what I feel about this or what I feel about a person. And so I've shared that with my husband. Shout out to Khalil, co-host of Woken Free, and we've laughed about it. And so we've had like beautiful moments with my poetry as well. So I express like my bluntness, I express my humor, I express my love, I express my creativity through emotion, through my poetry, and because I am a person who deeply holds emotions, like wherever I go goes my emotions. Me and my emotions are one. So you definitely feel that, read that, see that in my poetry. What is the most challenging aspect of poetry for you? I think for those who struggle with like feeling like maybe you aren't enough, or like maybe could I do this better? Could I do this differently? Sometimes poetry can invoke some feelings of like, does it really mean this? Am I reading this correctly? Right? Like you start to question yourself and doubt yourself, because sometimes it can be so short, or it can be so brief, or it can be so blunt. Poetry can take so many different forms and have so many different faces to it, where sometimes you feel challenged of like, am I getting it, or am I like totally off basis? Like you start to question not your intelligence per se, but just your interpretation abilities. And that I think is easier in poetry because it's so creative and diverse that a lot of people you can read something and see it one way, and your partner read it, see it a different way, a parent read it, see it different, like anyone in your life can read things differently. And so I think that probably is the most challenging part, that you always wonder is if you interpreted the writing as it was intended, or is your interpretation completely different from the writer's interpretation or the poet's interpretation. So with that, we're going to keep it moving into the summary. So this is what Amazon says, right? Tenderly, joyously, sometimes in sadness, sometimes in pain, Maya Angelou writes from the heart and celebrates life as only she has discovered it. In this moving volume of poetry, we hear the multifaceted voice of one of the most powerful and vibrant writers of our time. In essence, what is this book of poetry about? It's about being badass. It's about being complicated and beautiful and wondrous and challenged and everything, right? The life of Maya Angelou, the mind that she had was remarkable. Yeah, I'm biased because, like I said, she was everything for me, and will always be everything for me. But I think if you're new to Maya, this is a really great starting point for you to understand just how cool her writing was, just how wonderful her mind worked, and I'm welcome to reading poetry. If that's not your jam typically, and you're like, oh, I'll give it a go, this is definitely the book to give it a go with. All right, so let's jump in. Okay, so if you have the book, I encourage you to open it up with me and read with me. If not, just listen to my voice and we'll take it from there. And if you have comments or questions, please put that in the comment section so that even if I'm not looking right now, I can get in there. First one, they went home. They went home and told their wives that never once in all their lives had they known a girl like me, but they went home. They said my house was licking clean. No word I spoke was ever mean. I had an air of mystery, but they went home. My praises were on all men's lips. They liked my smile, my wit, my hips. They'd spend one night or two or three, but ... What's this about? I think this is about a situation where a woman is finding comfort and finding camaraderie and finding moments of passion, potentially even love with men, but yet no one stays. Yet, it's good enough for that one time or that two times or those three times, but not for anything more. And this can be challenging because this could be the story of many, right? The many women, men, any other way you identify as well, of finding moments of connection with people, but it doesn't last. And it's challenging, right? Because in those moments, you really enjoy the person, you really enjoy those experiences, but it's like, does everyone leave? Well, not everyone, but in essence, we all at some point are there is a demise awaiting us. So at the end of the day, nothing lasts forever, but it would be nice especially when you share romantic moments with people, for them to be more than just a one night stand, if that's what you want, right? Everyone wants something different in love, but that's what I took from that. I thought it was an interesting to put this in is this technically the first poem? Yeah, that's the first poem of the book. And I thought, wow, we just pop in right off, right? So I like that. I was like, she didn't even lean people into that one. She just said, here you go. That's what I'm thinking about. How are you? So I like that. Next, passing time. Your skin like dawn, mine like dusk. One paints the beginning of a certain end, the other the end of a sure beginning. I'll read it again because that's a short one. And so that's where I'll do that. I'll read something like 2 or 3 times, especially when it's more brief, just to make sure. Your skin like dawn, mine like dusk. One paints the beginning of a certain end, the other the end of a sure beginning. So for me, I interpret that to mean there are times in life where you meet people or you're with people and you're the beginning and you're the end, right? Like the togetherness of you two create this symmetry, this bond. And, where I begin, you end, where you end, I begin, right? Like this kind of circular motion of energy and love and passion and connection. That's how I interpret that. And that time passes as you go through this journey with that person. And is it beautiful? Is it sad? Is it Are there other emotions that happen with that? Yeah, probably, in the passage of time, in the arguments, in the conversations, in the moments shared. But nonetheless, life goes on, moments go on, beauty and togetherness goes on. That's how I see that. So now, like, and that's where poetry can get very fun, because you could read it and be like, no, Natasha, I totally read that another way. Maybe we're both right. A conceit. Give me your hand, make room for me to lead and follow you beyond this range of poetry. Let others have the privacy of touching words and love of loss of love. For me, give me your hand. Again, let's do that one again. Give me your hand, make room for me to lead and follow you beyond this rage of poetry. Let others have the privacy of touching words and love of loss of love. For me, give me your hand. See the theme there? There's a couple of things of love that she's speaking to there. So for me, I would say I read this poem to be about just like, sometimes you just need a person to just be there with you, and and to hold your hand, right? Or to give a hug. You need that, just peace, especially with your lovers and your partners, right? Like, you just need peace. Because life can get so hectic and can be so challenging at times. And, maybe he's leading, maybe she's leading, maybe, and it's like we have all these things that we have to do each and every day. And sometimes we just need to sit down and hold each other's hand, look at each other with a beautiful gaze and know that, we're in this together. We can do this together. That's how I interpret that. Now let's get to America, especially given that it's Juneteenth. All right. This is a good one. The gold of her promise has never been mined, her borders of justice never clearly defined. Her crops of abundance, the fruit and the grain, have not fed the hungry nor eased the deep pain. Her proud declarations are leaves on the wind. Her southern exposure, Black Death did befriend. Discover this country, dead centuries cry. Erect noble tablets where none can decry. She kills her bright future and rapes for a sow, then entraps her children with legends untrue. I beg you, discover this country. There's a lot of different themes here. And the choice words presented really, for me, stuck out as speaking to the complicated history that is America, the complicated current day America, the complicated past of America. America is probably going to always be one of the most grandest places you'll ever be able to visit or live in. But is it a country without fault? Is it a country without challenge? Absolutely not. Like any other country, really. And I think for me, what stood out the most with this poem was her honesty and her bluntness, but also clever painting of that, right? It wasn't like, right? Like, because some people, when you get angry about something, or you want to talk about the challenge that you're facing, it can be a little bit challenging. Okay, let's see. Khalil has shared, we are free to the interpretations that soothe our soul's rest. Ooh, okay. Or best, maybe you meant, or both, maybe. Who knows? I like it, Khalil. Thank you. But what I think was interesting is discover this country. She says this twice. Discover this country, dead centuries cry. And then she ends, right? I beg you, discover this country. To me, that also reads to me as an interpretation of saying there's more to America than what one sees. There's more to America that one experiences. And then yet there's more to see. There's more to experience. There's more to accomplish. There's more to help. There's more, right? Like, because even the sentence, the passage around her borders of justice not clearly defined, right? So even our law, even our legal system, there's more to do there, right? And then this, have not fed the hungry nor eased that deep pain, right? What are we doing with those who are disenfranchised in this country? What are we doing with those who need a bit more help, who need a bit more equity and support? Interesting stuff there, right? So with that, let's keep it moving because we are on a time schedule, y'all. All right. Where We Belong, a duet. In every town and village, in every city square, in crowded places, I search the faces, hoping to find someone to care. I read mysterious meanings in the distant stars. Then I went to schoolrooms and pool rooms and half-lighted cocktail bars, braving dangers, going with strangers. I don't even remember their names. I was quick and breezy and always easy, playing romantic games. I wined and dined 1,000 exotic Jones and Janes in dusty dance halls at debutante balls on lonely country lanes. I fell in love forever, twice every year or so. I wooed them sweetly, was theirs completely, but they always let me go. Saying bye now, no need to try now. You don't have the proper charms, too sentimental and much too gentle. I don't tremble in your arms. Then you rose into my life like a promised sunrise, brightening my days with the light in your eyes. I've never been so strong. Now I'm where I belong. A lot of themes there. A lot of themes. So for me, how I read this is you go through life and you have different interactions, especially within the romance department. And sometimes they say, sometimes they leave. Sometimes you jive, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're beautiful moments, sometimes they're not. And then is there an opportunity to find that safe space that you're looking for, that space where you can be you and they can be them, and there is endless opportunity of joy and excitement and wonder? Yes, I do think that's possible. Do I think it's a guarantee for everyone in their life? No, I definitely don't. But I think for those who want it, for those who are willing to put in the work, for those who are willing to make sure that love is something that is continuous, that is ongoing, that is positive, that is evolving. If you have that intention and you put in the action, then you can experience that. So with that, let's jump into one that so many people love. I mean, this is like probably one of the most famous poems she'll ever be known by, which is Phenomenal Woman. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in my feet. I am a woman. I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care, because I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me. So listen, there's a lot to take from that. Of all the things I would say is women should be honored and cherished just as much as men, right? This world is made of both and everything in between. But there's something deeply beautiful and wonderful and wondrous about a woman. And I think that all women can find something special and beautiful and phenomenal about themselves. And hopefully the world does too. Now, there's more. We'll see if I get to all of them. I think what I will do is I encourage you to get the book so that you can read all of the poems. But I think I'm going to end on this one, which is Insomniac. And if you are raising a toddler like me and my husband, you'll appreciate it. There are some nights when sleep plays coy, aloof and disdainful, and all the wiles that I employ to win its service to my side are useless as wounded pride and much more painful. I will read that again. There are some nights when sleep plays coy, aloof and disdainful, and all the wiles that I employ to win its service to my side are useless as wounded pride and much more painful. Name of the game, sleep is challenging. Sleep is challenging. Sometimes we have to be up because we're raising toddlers. Sometimes we have to be up because we're pursuing our dreams. Sometimes we have to be up because our trauma keeps us up. Sometimes we have to be up because we don't feel safe to sleep. Sometimes we have to be up for a million different reasons. I encourage you to try to find ways to sleep. As someone who is currently on that journey, it can be hard, but it is not impossible. And I appreciated a poem around insomniac and the lack of sleep that people face in their life, because that is real upon real upon real. We are not sleeping enough as a society, and we need to do more, especially in America. I can't speak internationally. I have a sneaky feeling that sleep is more valued elsewhere. But at least in this country, we can do better. We need to sleep more. So there's that. All right. So what's next is I want to make sure that you get this book and you read it immediately. And if you're like, oh, I haven't done anything for Juneteenth, buy a book by a Black author. That's a wonderful way to celebrate your Juneteenth. And this is one of the best books of poetry you'll ever own, because Maya Angelou's work is epic and you'll never regret it. So get it. Now, next book for July, we're reading by John C. Maxwell. If you aren't already a fan, hopefully this book will create and make you one. Attitude 101, what every leader needs to know. So many of us in our careers are looking for new ways to become better leaders, to even flex as leaders. And so I figured this would be a really cool summer read for us to just think through leadership, whether it's within the context of your career or within your life as a whole. There's an opportunity for us to grow as leaders and to think about the attitudes we bring to our path as leaders. So there's that. Now, also, in addition to getting that book, you're going to want to make sure that you join this book club at dressingyourmate.com, sign up, subscribe to join the blog. And with that, I think we will pretty much call it a wrap. I think that we made it through everything. And if you, again, are like, should I get the book? Please, please, please. Even if you don't want to buy it, check it out from your library, because this book is everything. And, you know, I'm deeply grateful for Maya Angelou. I don't think I'd be the woman I am today if I had not read her books and her work. And so I encourage you to think through, what are ways that you could read different content? And poetry is a wonderful new form of expression, not new form, but can be a new form for you if that's not generally your jam or vibe. And I think you'll be better for it. I think your mind will think in new ways, and you'll be grateful. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. I will see you soon. Be good.